ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome you back again for this online Tirth Yatra series. Today we'll be taking you along with us to two important holy places which are connected to Krishna's pastimes. We are going first to the huge Girnar Parvat, Mount Girnar, and second we'll be going to Dakor. The first place which we are going today is Girnar Parvat. Girnar Parvat is located in India in Gujarat in the Junagadh district, very close to the city of Rajkot, which is well connected with road, rail, and air. So, this Girnar Parvat has many beautiful pastimes connected to Krishna and Krishna's devotees, and there are very beautiful places on the foothills of this Girnar Parvat, Girnar mountain. This Girnar Parvat is very huge. At this time in Kali Yuga, in the 21st century, Girnar Parvat is 1000-meter height. That means almost 1 kilometer height. And the expanse is huge. And Girnar Parvat is also part of the density of the forest of Gir. There is Gir forest in that area where a lot of wild animals also are staying there. So there's a huge place of wild forest and a huge mountain, and around 8,000 steps you have to climb to reach the top of the mountain. This place is very well connected with the Vaishnava tradition as well as the Jain tradition. Many Jain temples are on the Girnar Parvat, and many people in Jainism they go and they climb this Parvat, this mountain. The Vaishnavas also go and climb the mountain, and they visit many devis and devatas places on the mountain. This mountain was very much utilized in the earlier history by great sages and rishis and great incarnations of the Lord who came here. So let's move on to the beautiful Girnar Parvat now, and let's come at the foothills of Girnar Parvat and watch this huge Girnar Parvat down below from here, and a beautiful green lush mountain with peak towering the sky. Now, what are the different pastimes of Krishna connected to Girnar Parvat? There are many pastimes. First, the pastime of Krishna running away from Mathura has a connection with Girnar Parvat. Second, the pastime of Balram marrying Revati has a connected connection with Girnar Parvat. Third, the pastime of Balram killing Duvida gorilla has a connection with Girnar Parvat. And the fourth, the pastime of Muchukunda, Krishna killing Kalayavan through Muchukunda, has connection with Girnar Parvat. So these are four important connections with which we will start now. And later on, we'll also see different holy places and great saints associated with Krishna's pastimes around this holy location of Girnar Parvat. So let's begin with the beautiful pastime of first Krishna running away. Now we all know that Jarasan, he had attacked Mathura after Krishna killed Kamsa. Jarasan was Kamsa's father-in-law, and when both of his daughters came back home after the killing of Kamsa, Jarasan took a vow to take revenge. Jarasan felt that Kamsa was a good person and Krishna had unnecessarily killed him. That was his version. But Krishna and Balram were awaiting in Mathura, anticipating that Jarasan will come. So Jarasan brought a huge army of phalanxes and soldiers and attacked Mathura from Magad. Jarasan's kingdom was in Magad, Bihar. So they came all the way and attacked Mathura. So they mentioned Krishna and Balaram, to cut the whole story short, Krishna and Balaram alone, without any army, They came out and massacred the entire huge army of Jarasan, leaving alone Jarasan alive. Balramji wanted to kill Jarasan also, but Krishna told him, "Don't worry, just leave him. First of all, we don't kill him because he will come back again, and our work will be less in terms of destroying the demons. He'll keep bringing many more people. So leave him alone. And someone else is supposed to kill him, not neither you nor me." So Jarasan went back. He was very devastated. But then he was inspired by his kinsman that Jarasan, you should not leave hope. Go again and attack Mathura. So Jarasan came again with a huge army. He collected a new army and attacked Mathura. Again, Krishna and Balaram massacred the whole army and left Jarasan alone. He went back. In this way, Jarasan did not lose hope. He kept going and coming back with new army, coming back with new army. It is mentioned in this way 16 times. He came, his army was completely massacred by Krishna and Balaram. And after that, he went back. The 13th time when Jarasan came, that was the time this pastime happened with Girnar Parvat. What happened is, this time Krishna and Balaram, they analyzed that from one side Jarasandh was coming to attack Mathura. On the other hand, from another side, there was another demoniac person, Kala Yavana, who also had come from somewhere near Turkey, and he was kind of coming and attacking Mathura, attacking Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna and Balaram made a beautiful plan. They said, right now there is no point in fighting anyone here, because you fight with one, then the other person will come from other side and attack Mathura. So Krishna and Balaram had a brilliant plan. In fact, Krishna told Balaram, now this is the time we should now leave this place. This place, Mathura, is no more a secure place for our devotees. So Krishna arranged for the building of Dwarka city in the middle of the ocean. So Vishwakarma immediately arranged for the building of the whole Dwarka city. Krishna, and it is mentioned that Krishna and Balaram, Krishna told Balaram, immediately shift the devotees to Dwarka city and come back. So it is mentioned Krishna and Balaram again then came out of Mathura. Meanwhile, entire Mathura was empty. Everyone in Mathura had was taken by the beautiful arrangement of Balaram without anyone knowing. They were sleeping and they were transported to Dwarka. All the residents of the Mathura were transported to Dwarka. So what happened is Krishna and Balaram again came out and they saw Jarasan, but this time they did not attack Jarasan. They ran away from Mathura. So Jarasan was like thinking maybe Krishna and Balaram are afraid of me. So he became very puffed up. Wow, this is the time to attack them now. So Jarasan and his whole army ran behind Krishna and Balaram. Now Krishna and Balaram are supreme personality of Godhead. Who can catch them? But it is Krishna Balaram's Leela. They were running, and Jarasan and the whole army was running. Just imagine the sight where, two people are running ahead and the whole army is running behind to catch them. So Krishna and Balaram ran all the way from Mathura and came to Gujarat to this place, Girnar Parvat. And Krishna and Balaram climbed this Parvat. This Parvat is mentioned, this mountain is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Mount Pravarshan, right? Mount Pravarshan. So Krishna and Balaram climbed the mountain, and Jarasandh, he completely surrounded the mountain from all sides with army, and he was waiting for Krishna and Balaram to come down. But when Krishna and Balaram did not come down, Jarasandh put a huge fire all across the mountain, hoping that as the fire progresses, Krishna and Balaram will be burned to death or they will be suffocated. But Krishna and Balaram were not ordinary mortals; they were supreme lords. So while the fire was going on, Krishna and Balaram jumped from this Girnar Parvat. Can you imagine this Girnar Parvat is like 1 kilometer in height. At this time, we do not know what was the height of Girnar that time. So he jumped all the way. They jumped from all the way, and they jumped beyond the army of Jarasan. So Jarasan did not even realize that they had jumped from top all the way above us. They landed a little far away, and Krishna and Balaram immediately went to Dwarka. And in this way, Jarasan did not know what happened to Krishna and Balaram. So the whole pastime happened in Girnar Parvat. Krishna and Balaram climbed the Girnar Parvat. Now it is said that Krishna and Balram, why did they run away? What is the reason? Our acharyas mentioned that Krishna at this time was anticipating that in Dwarka he is going to receive a letter from Rukmini, where Rukmini was in high trouble because his relatives wanted to get him married to Shishupal and she wanted to marry Krishna. So Krishna didn't want to waste his time with Jarasan. He was more eager to serve his devotees. So Krishna had to, instead of engaging in a battlefield, Krishna decided to immediately go to Dwarka. And therefore Krishna arranged this pastime of running away. By running away, Krishna arranged this pastime of running away, and then Krishna got a new name. See, Krishna has many names, eternal names, but many of his names are based on his pastimes. So Krishna is called Murlidhar because he's playing flute. Krishna is called Giridhar because he lifts Govardhan mountain. Krishna here was called as Rana Chod. Ran Chod means Rana means battle and Chod means he left. Deserter. Krishna is Ran Chod. Krishna got a name Ran Chod from this Leela that he ran away from the battle. But you know what? His name was famous, not ill famous. People recollect that how Krishna got this name because he was catering to the need of his devotee Rukmini Devi. So Krishna can do anything, create a kind of a bad image for himself, but for the sake of his devotees. However, the bad image is never a bad image. Krishna, whatever he does, is always good. So Krishna got a beautiful name, Ranchod. And in fact, the next place which will go afterwards, Dakor, this beautiful deity of Ranchod Rai is in Dakor. So please remember that. We'll go to Ranchod Rai and take darshan of Lord as Ranchod Rai. So Krishna got a name as Ranchod because of running away from Jarasandh, the battle of Mathura, and Krishna and Balram reached Dwarka. So this is the first pastime of Girnar Parvat, where Krishna and Balram climbed this Parvat and then jumped off, and in this way they fooled Jarasandh and his army. The second place, second pastime which happened in Girnar Parvat is that this Girnar Parvat has also another name called as Raivatachal. So Raivatachal was is a mountain which was initially in the kingdom of Raivata, and it is in the kingdom of Revata. And Revata kingdom, the king was Raivata. So it is mentioned that Revata king, he was ruling this kingdom, and in his kingdom, he had bought this mountain all the way from Shaila to Gujarat because there were no mountains. So it is mentioned that he went and he requested Sri Shaila that can you kindly give one of the mountains of yours as a gift for me. And because King Revata was very strong, very powerful, and great devotee of Lord, so Shaila allowed one of the mountains to be taken, and that Shaila one mountain was got here. It is a huge mountain, which is part of that huge mountain range of Shaila mountain. So this Revata mountain came here because of King Revata. Now King Revata, he was ruling in the Satyuga that time, and therefore it is mentioned that in Revata king he had a daughter. Her name was Revati. So Revati became of marriageable age. So Revata thought, I want to marry my daughter, but who is the best match? I do not know. I have so many names around me in this, around my kingdom, in this earth planet. Many kings are there, but which is the best? Who is the person? Who is the best person? So immediately it is mentioned that Revata had access to Brahmaloka. So Revata took Revati, his daughter, to Brahmaloka to go and ask Brahmaji who's the best person to get his daughter married. So Brahmaji was little busy with some performance of arts and dance. So it is mentioned that it took some time. By the time he got an audience, who Revata got an audience with Brahma and said, Brahmaji, I got a list of photos. Whom should I arrange for daughter to get married to? Brahma said, all the photos you have is of no use now because you stayed for some time in Brahmaloka. Meanwhile, ages and ages have passed in earth planet. So all those whom you know in earth have already died. Now that you're going down, it is now Dwapar Yuga, right? And now in your own kingdom, when you go down, you will meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram, and he is the right match for your daughter Revati. So Revata came down, and indeed everything had changed as he came down. He was no more the king. The province was different, the king were different. So it is mentioned Lord Balaram came here to Girnar Parvat. And that time, Rayavata approached Balramji and told, please marry my daughter. Because Revata and Revati were from Satyuga, their height was quite larger than the size of people in Dwapar Yuga. So Balramji was very happy to marry Revati, but he realized that Revati was very tall in height. It is mentioned something like her height was like a tall coconut tree compared to Balramji's height. So Balramji said, don't worry, even though the match is not fitting, I will make the fitting necessary, what is required. So Balramji took his plow and hooked on the shoulders of Revati and brought her to the size fitting for him. So Revati's size was reduced and Balramji in this married Revati. So this is the place where Balramji married Revati at the foothills of Raivataka hill. So this Revatachal got the name from King Revata, whose daughter was Revati, and she was the consort. She is the consort of Lord Balaram. So the second pastime also happened here. So in the memory of this pastime, there is also a Revati Kund here on the foothills of this Parvat, Girnar Parvat. In the Revati Kund, this is the exact place where Revati and Balram were married. So this is the second pastime which we covered about Girnar Parvat. The third pastime which you're going to see is the pastime of Kala Yavana. We were mentioning about how Krishna and Balaram they were in Mathura and they anticipated 17th time Jarasan is attacking and also Kala Yavana is also attacking. So when Krishna told Balaram to shift all the Mathura Vasis overnight to Dwarka, that time Krishna alone went outside to deal with Kala Yavana who had already arrived on the outskirts of Mathura. So Krishna went outside without any weapons. Krishna saw Kalayavana, he smiled. Kalayavana was surprised. He thought Krishna has come to fight with him, but he came alone without a chariot, without any weapons. So he waited for Krishna to respond. Krishna just saw him from very far away, took a left turn and started walking away. So Kalayavana became surprised. What is this? Why is walking away from me? So Kalayavana ran to catch Krishna. So he was running to catch Krishna, but Krishna was easily walking and Kalayavan could not catch Krishna. It is said, Vinasha Kale Viprita Buddhi. In time of destructions, the intelligence does not work. Kalayavan did not realize as he was running for catching Krishna, he was running away from his army. Army remained behind and Kalayavan followed Krishna. Krishna was coolly walking, Kalayavan was running, but still Kalayavan could not catch Krishna. Finally, Krishna walked all the way from Mathura to this place, Girnar Parvat in Gujarat. And he came here and then he entered a cave. He entered a cave. That cave is still there in Girnar Parvat, on the foothills of Girnar Parvat. We will see the photo now. The cave was there, and inside the cave, as he entered, there was a king who was sleeping there. His name was Muchukunda Maharaj. And Krishna removed his chaddar and put on the body of Muchikunda and Krishna hid in one corner. Now what happened? Who came inside now? Kalayavan came inside. He was exasperated, exhausted. What is this? This guy is moving here and there, running. I cannot catch him. And finally now he comes inside and he sees that a person is sleeping and there is a cloth on his top. So he thought Krishna is now sleeping there. So he became so angry, he went and just kicked the body of that person, not realizing that it was not Krishna, it was someone else. So when he kicked the body of that person who was sleeping for a very long time woke up and then he turned around and saw who woke him up. And it was Kala Yavana. And from his eyes came fire, and Kala Yavana was burned to ashes. Who was this king? Muchukunda. Why did his eyes emit fire? The story is like this. In the age of Satyuga, Muchukunda, a great king, was summoned by demigods to fight with them against the demons. Because the demons were very powerful, therefore Muchukunda Maharaj helped them. Muchukunda Maharaj had to go to upper planets in Swargaloka to fight this war. So by the time the war got over, the demigods were all happy, devatas were very happy. And they said, Muchukunda Maharaj, we are very pleased with you. Muchukunda Maharaj said, thank you for the opportunity. Let me go back to my home. The devatas became very unhappy. They said, "I am sorry, but by the time you have served us in Swargaloka here, ages have passed in Earth planet, and all your relatives, all your kingdom has gone away. So even if you go down, no one will recognize you. There are hundreds of kings who have come and gone by." So Muchukunda Maharaj said, "What should I do then?" Said, "Whatever benediction you want, I'll offer it. We will offer the benediction to you." Then Muchukunda Maharaj thought for some time, and Muchukunda Maharaj said that, "Well, I have not slept for a long time. I'm very tired. I need some proper rest. So I will go down to earth planet to rest." And then he was thinking that if I rest again, these demigods will be trouble. They will again call me. So he said, "Give me benediction that if someone breaks my rest, breaks my sleep, that person will burn to ashes." So Muchukunda Maharaj was kind of so tired. He asked for a benediction so that no one, even from devatas, would disturb him. So he was sleeping here for many years together. And Krishna now thought, now this is good enough. He has already rested quite a lot. So Krishna got him inside. Krishna got inside Kala Yavan and arranged that Muchukunda Maharaj, by his fire from his eyes, kills Kala Yavan. Kala Yavan was having a benediction that he will not be killed by anyone from the Yadu dynasty. So Krishna arranged that Kala Yavan get annihilated by Muchukunda Maharaj. So after that, Muchukunda Maharaj got up, then Krishna gave him darshan. Muchukunda was so happy because Muchukunda felt his desire fulfilled. Krishna had reciprocated with his service to the devatas, the demigods. For serving them, Krishna had given darshan to him. And Krishna told Muchukunda Maharaj, "Now no sleep here again. Go out of this place and go to Badrikashram. And there you perform a tapasya and you with great devotees like Naranara and Rishi and all great sages in Badrikashram." So Muchukunda Maharaj left this cave and he went to Badrikashram. So this cave where Muchukunda Maharaj was sleeping and when Krishna came and Kala Yavan was killed, this all happened at the foothills of Girnar Parvat. So just next to Revati Kund, which we discussed earlier, is a small, beautiful temple. Which you go inside, you go and find a cave there, and that was the cave under which in which Kala Yavan got killed by Muchukunda Maharaj. So uh, this is the third pastime of how Krishna and Krishna's devotees had Leela here. So the first one was Krishna running away Ranchodarai. Second was Balramji marrying Revati here. The third was the Muchukunda cave here. So there is beautiful Muchukunda cave here, and there is also Revati Kunda. Now, the fourth pastime which happened here was that Balaramji, along with all his consorts, was dancing on the top of this Mount Girnar, Mount Pravarshan, and he was playing Rasa Leela. So that time, one demon, Divida Gorilla, this Divida Gorilla had his connection in the Ramayana. He was actually part of Lord Ram's Vanar Sena. But in due course of time, because of his wrong association from a devotee who was fighting for with Ram to help Ram, he became actually a demon by association of very bad people. And by the time Dwapar Yuga came, he had already become a demon, and now he was actually going against Krishna and Balaram. So it is mentioned that Divida Gorilla came to know that Balaramji is playing Ras Leela on the mountain of Girnar or Pravarshan. So he came here and he tried to disturb Balaramji and wanted to kidnap Balaramji's wives. So it is mentioned Balaramji became very upset, especially when the lady started shouting for help. And that time it is mentioned that Balramji had a fight with Divida Gorilla, and ultimately in the fight, Balramji pulverized Divida Gorilla and killed him. So this fourth pastime also happened on the top of Pravarshan mountain. So on the foothills of this mountain, there is Revati Kund. We saw Revati Kund. Then there is Muchukunda Gufa, and also it is mentioned there is Damodar Kunda and Damodar Temple. So King Vajranabh, Krishna's great grandson, he to commemorate these pastime places, King Vajranabh came to the foothills of Girnar and established the beautiful deity of Lord Damodar and also temple of Lord Balaramji here. And just in front of the temple, beautiful temple, there is a beautiful kunda called as Damodar Kunda. So the beautiful holy waters coming from Girnar Parvat come down and they get accumulated in Damodar Kund. This is the place where it is mentioned that exact location somewhere where Krishna came and performed his pastimes, Balramji came and performed his pastimes. So our acharyas they commemorate this beautiful kund called as Damodar Kund. So this is the connection of this place. On the foothills of Girnar, there is Revati Kund, there is Muchukunda Gufa, there is Damodar Kund, and there is Damodar Temple. So it is mentioned that there are many more beautiful pastimes connected to Girnar Parvat. As I mentioned, that it is a very huge mountain. It takes around 6-7 hours to climb the mountain, and there are 8,000 steps, almost like that, and around 1 kilometer of height. So different locations have the different varieties of temples. Some Jain temples, some uh, Sanatan Dharma temples, etc. are all on the top of this mountain. So apart from this, it is also mentioned that Damodar Kund, when you visit, in front of Damodar Kund, you will see a beautiful deity of a saint sitting. Who is that saint? That saint is Narsimha Mehta. Narsimha Mehta was a great devotee of Lord Krishna in this part of the area of this world, very close to Girnar Parvat in the town of Junagadh. There is a small, ancient, old house still which we can visit. It is called as Narsim Mehta Choro. That means the house of Narsimha Mehta. So now we will take you to Narsimha Mehta's house. Very beautiful place, very close to Girnar Parvat's location, around 10 to 15 minutes drive from there. So here is Narsimha Mehta's beautiful place. He has a deity of Gopinath Ji, which he worshipped. There is also deity of Narsimha Mehta kept now for devotees to come and offer homages to Narsimha Mehta as well. And there is this old typical house of Narsimha Mehta which is still existing, where Lord Krishna performed pastimes here to satisfy and reciprocate with the love of who? Narsimha Mehta. So let's hear the beautiful story of Narsimha Mehta. Who is Narsimha Mehta? So it is said that Narsimha Mehta, it is said that he was born in this part of this world, and he had at a very small age, his parents died when he was just 5 years old, and it is mentioned that he had a very early childhood was very tragic. Till the age of 8, he could not even speak, and because parents were not there, so he was staying with his cousin relatives, and eventually when they grew up, his elder brother bought a house and he was staying with his elder brother's house. His elder brother was married, so it is mentioned that the elder brother's wife, uh, that means Nursing Mehta sister-in-law, would see that Nursing Mehta is good for nothing, so she would trouble him a lot, give him a lot of work, and insult him a lot. So one day Narsingh Mehta became very much frustrated. He was a very humble person, but when things went beyond him, so he left the house and went to Girnar Parvat somewhere. And there it is mentioned he went to a temple of Lord Shiva. So nearby is also temple of Lord Shiva here shown. Lord Shiva's temple he went, and for 7-8 days he fasted and just intensely prayed, "Oh Lord Shiva, please help me, please give me some spiritual path." And he was chanting and praying intensely. Lord Shiva became very pleased by the mood of this devotee Narsimha Mehta. So Lord Shiva appeared and told him, "What do you want?" Narsimha Mehta said, "I do not know what do you want. What I want. So better Lord Shiva, you give me what you feel is good." Narsimha Mehta, when told Lord Shiva said, "The best thing I know best thing ever in this whole world is the bhakti to Krishna." So Lord Shiva gave him Krishna Bhakti, pure Bhakti. And from there on that day onwards, Narsimha Mehta's life was completely transformed. He was completely immersed in devotion, always completely depending on Krishna. One of his favorite shlokas by which he led his life was Yogakshemam Mahamiham from the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna carries what we lack and Krishna preserves what we have. So that was like that emblem verse which he always kept to his heart, and he thought this is what the life's mission is. So he tried his best to do something here and there, but he was not very successful in his materialistic endeavor of earning wealth. So he completely depended on Krishna. In due course of time, he got married. He had a kid, and daughter grew up into a beautiful girl, marriageable age. So the lady, the wife of Narsingh Mehta, she became very concerned. She said that what kind of father you are? You always doing bhajan, and you don't have to worry anything about earning something. Our daughter has become marriageable age, and the whole village is talking. The village is saying that you guys are completely irresponsible. The girl is of marriageable age, and you are not trying to get her married. So I can't tolerate this. Please arrange something. Please arrange for her to get married. So Narsingh Mehta said, "Well, I'm trying my best. What can I do? Ultimately, Krishna will do everything." And then he quoted this shloka again: "Yogakshemam vahamyaham, ananya chintayanto mam ye jana pariyupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham." So the wife was completely confused. She said, "You always keep quoting this shloka. What Krishna will bring? Krishna is telling you nothing is there in the house. Go and beg, get some money for getting food in the house. And now there is nothing in the house, no wealth. How will we get a daughter married?" So it is mentioned that he remained composed. Narsingh Mehta remained composed. Meanwhile, the wife said, his wife removed some ornaments which she had and said, "Take this gold and go to nearby village and get some good money out of it, and from that money we'll buy some goods for our marriage of our daughter." Just as he was planning to go out, it is mentioned that one gentleman walked in the house of Narsingh Mehta. This gentleman was looking for a bride for his son, and somehow the Krishna directed him to come to Narsingh Mehta's house. He came inside. He said that I'm looking for some daughter-in-law for my son. So do you have any? I came to know that your daughter is available for marriage, is marriageable age. So Narasimha says, "See, Krishna is arranging everything." So they had a talk, and finally it was discussed, and they came to know that yes, the marriage was fixed. So the tithi, the muhurat, when to get married was to be discussed. So they saw the charts. The Vedic charts showed that for the next 8 months or 9 months, there was no tithi. The only one tithi which was available for marriage was immediately after 4 days. So immediately the wife of Narsingh Mehta immediately said, "Okay, no problem. We'll arrange all the marriage. You go ahead, go to your house, and bring your son with the marriage party after 4 days. Everything will arrange." So he left very happily. Now the wife said, Narsingh Mehta told Narsingh Mehta, "Now you go do something. Take these ornaments and go and sell them off and get all the ingredients for marriage." Narsingh Mehta said, "Don't worry, Krishna will arrange something. Krishna arranged for daughter to get married to this nice boy. Krishna will also arrange for the whole ingredients to come." Wife said, "That's okay, but now you go and endeavor and do something." So Narsingh Mehta immediately started singing bhajans of Lord Krishna, and then he left that village, traveling here and there, went to the other village. And when he went to other village, it is mentioned that in the other village there was a Bhagavad Katha going on. So he went and sat in the Bhagavad Katha, which was supposed to be a whole day Bhagavad Katha for the next 7 days. He was so absorbed, he remained in the village hearing Bhagavad Katha and completely forgot that he had a mission to accomplish, get a good price for the ornaments and buy things. So after 7 days of Bhagavad Katha, then when he came out of his absorption, someone told him that you are here in this village for one week. Now you can go back home. So 1 week I was here. Then he was like crying, "My goodness, what I have done? My daughter's marriage must have been cancelled. There will be everyone may be very much cursing every in my home, and the person who was supposed to get his son married to my daughter. What about him?" So crying like that, it is mentioned, he entered into his own village. When he entered into his own village, people were smiling, laughing, and said, "Thank you, Narsingh Mehta. Such a wonderful marriage. That was the best marriage we had ever attended for many, many years. You fed us so nicely, give us so beautiful gifts. Amazing." And Narsingh Mehta was surprised. "What marriage? Which marriage?" I was thinking about that I made a blunder. and they're saying marriage was okay, very nice. So he was surprised. So he ran, came into his house to see that everything was very grand in his house. Wife was saying, very, very nice. You came back from market so fast. And thank you very much. Wonderful. I said, I came from market some now. Well, I came after 7 days. Are you crazy? You are always with us. How can you say that you came after 7 days? In fact, I want to thank you. You told your disciple to come here and give everything on time, all the ingredients, and he supplied all these ingredients on time. Nursing mother said, who's my disciple? So that black boy who came, young boy, everything, every time I needed something, I remembered him. He came running and kept giving all the things. And this way, you see, such a huge arrangement of marriage was done, and everyone's so happy. And said, my dear husband, you never told me that you have a very nice disciple who is very well qualified, very rich. You always keep something secret from me. So Narsingh Mehta immediately understood that was Krishna who had come. He had come as a black boy and gave all the ingredients and also imitated, became Narsingh Mehta and did also attend the marriage ceremony and give Kanyadan, hand of his daughter in marriage to that to the person's, the merchant's son. So in this way, Narsingh Mehta realized that indeed this verse which I was quoting has come to even in my own life. That Krishna always carries what his devotees lack and preserves what he has. So this is a beautiful story of Narsingh Mehta. All this happened in this beautiful location of Narsingh Mehta no Choro, the house of Narsingh Mehta. The beautiful deity of Gopinath ji is there. It is mentioned that beautiful deity of Narsingh Mehta also is there. There's a beautiful museum of different paintings and dioramas which depict the pastime which has happened in Narsingh Mehta's life. So it is said Narsingh Mehta is a very well-known uh, saint in Gujarat. Many beautiful bhajans he has written. One of those bhajans which he has written has become very famous, especially in India. And that bhajan is like this. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे भीड़ पराई जाने रे पर दुख उपकार करे तो ये मन अभिमान न आने रे. This is a very famous bhajan, very well known in India. What is the meaning of this beautiful bhajan? Vaishnava janato tene kahiye je. Who's called a Vaishnava? Tene kahiye je. Peer padai jane re. Who understands others' suffering, others' distress. A devotee can relate to others' distress. And what then he does after relating to the distress? Par dukha upakar kare toy. Immediately seeing others distressed, others unhappy, a Vaishnava goes and extends himself in solving people's problem, in making them happy. Para dukkha upakara. He extends himself upkar, compassion, wants to help that person. And then what? Once that person is helped and he becomes relieved of his pain and becomes happy, then what? The devotee becomes proud? No. Mana abhimana na anere. A devotee is just simply happy serving others. There is no pride that I did it for him. So this is the inner mood of a devotee. Very beautifully explained this simple bhajan. Vaishnava janato tene kahiye. So it is said in this way, Narsingh Mehta, he was a very advanced devotee, very well known in the whole part of Gujarat. There are many beautiful bhajans in Gujarati in the local language which he has written. Even now, people are singing those bhajans in beautiful programs, spiritual programs. So this Narsingh Mehta's house is just very close to Girnar Parvat. So we have visited many places so far under the foothills of Girnar Parvat. Apart from Narsingh Mehta's place, there are also some few more places little far away from Girnar Parvat, but one can reach those places when you go to Girnar. One place which we will all take you today is also a place called as Tulsi Sham. What is Tulsi Sham? Tulsi Sham is around 120 kilometers from Girnar. Tulsi Sham is a place where another small hill is there, where on the foothills of that hill is a temple of Lord Dwarkadish. or Lord Sham. They call it Dwarkadhish or Sham Sundar. And on the foot, on the top of the hill, which is a very small hill, top of the hill, there is Rukmini temple. So what is the story of this place? A very simple story. Not much details are given of this story. It is mentioned there was one demon who was creating trouble in this part of the area of the world. His name was Tul, demon Tul. So Krishna came here and killed this demon. So it is mentioned because he killed this demon, the demon while dying asked Krishna for a boon that let your temple be here and you be worshipped as one who killed me. Your name should have my suffixation. So therefore it is mentioned that therefore this place became Tulsi Sham. So Tulsi is not Tulsi which we know, Tulsi plant, but here Tulsi Sham means Tulsi, the one person who the Tul demon who was killed by our Sham, Krishna. So this is Tulsi Sham temple, very beautiful temple, around 120 kilometers from Girnar. Another place very close by is Veerpur. Is a temple of another great saint, Lord Ram's devotee, Jalaram Bapa. So beautiful stories about how Jalaram Baba was so compassionate, where he would always give everything he had for devotees, for other men's pleasure. In fact, today also Jalaram temple is very well known for feeding of anyone who comes there. There are many, there are many people who there are a lot of pilgrims who come regularly to Jalaram temple, and everyone is fed nice prasadam there, and they don't ask for any donations. Also, people already come and they get all the prasadam gets booked before only. So it is mentioned that. He worshipped beautiful deities of Sitaram, Lakshmana, Hanuman. Their deities are still there in his traditional house, which is maintained by his followers. And Jalaram Baba deity also is there. So he is one of the well-known saints of Gujarat. So his place is also Veerpur, very close to Girnar Parvat. So this is another place which is connected very closely to Girnar Parvat. Now we'll go to another place which is 100 kilometers, 108 kilometers from Girnar Parvat. Now this is almost 2 hours drive. However, this place is very close to Porbandar. From Porbandar it is around 20 kilometers. This place is called as Ranavav. Ranavav. What is so special about Ranavav? In Ranavav, there is one place just close to another mountain where there is a small hole in the ground. And if you go inside the ground, you'll find a beautiful cave inside. And that is called as Jambuvan Gufa. So Jambuvan Gufa, the story is there in Srimad Bhagavatam that Lord Sri Krishna, he when he how he married two great queens, Satyabhama and also Jambavati, was through this episode of Shamantaka jewel pastime. To make the whole story short, it's a very beautiful story, very long. Please kindly read it from Srimad Bhagavatam. To make it very short and concise, in Dwarka there also lived one another small king, Satrajit. So Satrajit was a devotee of sun god, and through sun god he had got this Samantaka jewel, and to Samantaka jewel every day a kind of a huge amount of gold will be produced. So in this way regularly he was getting gold. This information of Samantaka jewel reached all the Dwarkavasis, and all Dwarkavasis felt that the main ruler of Dwarka is the main Adhipati is Krishna. So this Satrajit should give Samantaka jewel to Krishna. That would be nice. Krishna never wanted Samantaka jewel, but everyone felt that the rightful owner of the jewel should be the ruler of Dwarka, that is Krishna. Krishna never asked for it, but when the pressure was mounting, Satrajit came and under the pressure he came and gave the jewel to Krishna. So it is mentioned Satrajit when he gave the jewel to Krishna, Krishna said, "I don't want the jewel. You keep it with you." And Satrajit became very happy, and in reciprocation, Satrajit gave his daughter Satyabhama in marriage to Krishna. So in this way, Satrajit was kept this jewel with him. But because this jewel was a sign of too much opulence, this jewel was cause of lot of trouble for Satrajit. In fact, he lost his life because of this jewel. However, before he lost his life, his brother also lost his life. And the story goes in this way, which is connected to this Jambuvan Gupa. that one day Prasena, the brother of Satrajit, carried this jewel with him on a hunting expedition. And in the forest, there was a duel fight between him and a lion. And the lion overpowered Prasena and killed Prasena and carried this sparkling jewel and came to this Ranava place, and entered into this cave. So later, what happened when the jewel was when Prasen did not come back? Satrajit thought in his mind that Prasen must be killed by Krishna because Krishna wanted that jewel. So there was kind of a very much unrest all over Dwarka, where there were rumors that Krishna has killed Prasena and taken the jewel. So Krishna wanted to keep all the accounts clear for him. So Krishna decided to go for a search party with few devotees from Dwarka, and they entered the forest and they saw indeed Prasena was killed by a lion. And then Krishna realized the jewel has also been taken by the lion. So Krishna and all the search party devotees, they started following the paw marks of lion, and they found this lion coming into this cave. So Krishna said, "This cave is quite deep, so you all stand outside, and I'll go inside and get back the Shamantaka jewel." So Krishna entered into this cave, and when Krishna entered into this cave, he saw a child inside the cave playing with the Shamantaka jewel. What had happened is when the lion entered the cave, this cave was the house of Jambavan. Jamban killed the lion, took the Shamantaka jewel, and gave it to his small child to play. So Krishna came here, saw the small child playing with Shamantaka jewel. The small child saw Krishna and started crying loudly because of a strange person coming in. And that got the attention of a maid servant who was taking care of the child. And she ran and spoke this presence of this strange person coming in our cave. She told to Jamban. So Jamban came outside, and Jamban came and they had a fight. Krishna fought with Jamban. There was an equal fight. Jamban was fighting with Krishna. Krishna was fighting with Jamban. And Krishna was relishing the fight because his devotee was giving him good punch. But after 28 days and night of fighting, can you imagine 28 days and night? Jamban became tired. Then Jamban realized, who is this person who does not get tired even after 28 days? I am empowered with so much of strength. The only one person who can combat with me like this without getting tired, he should be Supreme Personality of Godhead only. So that time Jamban, he fell down at the feet of the Lord and said, "Who are you, my Lord? I know you can be no ordinary person. You must be Supreme Person, my own Lord Ramachandra." So Krishna manifested the beautiful form of Lord Ramachandra. And Krishna said, "I am Lord Krishna. I am now in this age of Dwapar Yuga performing pastimes." So immediately Jamban surrendered his life to Lord Krishna. Jamban was such a devotee who had multiple opportunities in different incarnations to take part. When Lord Vaman appeared, it is mentioned Jamban was a young man. When Vamandev was expanding his form, Jamban went and encircled parikrama of Vamandev as he was huge. So Jamban was very enthusiastic in doing bhakti. He did parikrama of Vamandev. The next pastime where he was involved was Samudra Manthan. During Samudra Manthan time, it is mentioned that if he took the darshan of Kurmadev and also saw different herbs coming out of the Samudra Manthan, and from there he got lessons of which herb is better. So Jamuvan was also instrumental in Ram Leela, administering many herbs and many ideas of where and how people can be cured. So Jambuvan in this way was instrumental in Ramalila, where there also he was in the army of Ram fighting against Ravan. So they mentioned that time Lord Ramchandra told Jambuvan that you have served me for so many different incarnations. Now one more time you will serve me when I come again in Dwapar Yuga, and that time you'll have a beautiful daughter. That time you hand over your daughter to me, because now in Ram Leela I am doing Ekapatni Vrat. I have taken a vow of marrying only once. So then Jambuvan Gufa, that is a place where Jambuvan gave his daughter Jambavati in marriage to who? Lord Krishna. So this beautiful pastime also took place very close to Girnar Parvat, the Jambuvan Gufa of at Rana Vau. So this is something about this beautiful place. There are so many different small places here. But now at this time, after we have done our parikrama of Girnar, let's move to the next parikrama, which is the parikrama of the place Dakor. Dakor is also a place in Gujarat. It is said Dakor is geographically today located in Kheda district and is very close to Anand or Nadiad. Of course, one can also visit Dakor from Ahmedabad or Baroda as well. So, what is so famous about Dakor? Dakor is famous for Lord Krishna's beautiful deity of Ranchod Rai. You remember we are mentioning about Ranchod Rai? That Lord Krishna ran away from Jarasan and because of which he got the name Ranchod. But he is not Ranchod, he is not a deserter, he is not just running away, but he is Ranchod Rai. Rai means Raja, the king of deserters. So whatever Krishna does, he becomes a king in that. So Krishna left the battle of Jarasan because he wanted to immediately attend to his devotee Rukmini Devi's letter and go and kidnap her and save her from her marriage with Shishupal. So Ranchod Rai, beautiful deity of Krishna, is famous in Dakor. It is said that devotees they glorified this deity as our king, our king. The Gujaratis they say like that. This our king is called Ranchod Rai, but we don't mind because he left the run, the battle, so that he could come to Gujarat and to be with all of his devotees in Gujarat. So they're happy. You call anywhere in other part of the world, you may call him Ranchod Rai, Ranchod, but we call him Ranchod Rai, the king of deserters or king of those who ran away from battlefield, because ultimately he came to Gujarat and he gave his association to all people in Gujarat. So therefore, he is very well known by this name of Ranchod Rai here in Dakor. So in Dakor, there are many more beautiful things. It is mentioned lakhs of pilgrims come to Dakor. It's not a very big location. Temple is quite middle size. There is a Gomati a tank, which is very quite huge in front of the temple. Very narrow lanes and beautiful arrangement of shops and lot of things to buy. So the local Gujaratis they have a concept. Dakor, they say this. મંદિરમાં કોણ છે રાજા રણ છોડ છે જીગરાનો ચોર છે રાજા રણ છોડ છે. So what is the meaning of this? મંદિરમાં કોણ છે? Who is the temple? Who is inside a temple? So as people approach this temple, they chant like this. મંદિરમાં કોણ છે? So then answer is Raja Ranachod છે. Inside a temple, there is Raja Ranchod, the king Ranchod. And what is he known for? Jigranu Chorche. Jigranu Chorche means, Jigar means heart. He steals your heart. Jigranu Chorche, Raja Ranchorche. So this is a beautiful kind of utilizing in front of the Lord, glorifying him that Lord, please steal my heart. You are known for stealing of heart. Please let my heart be stolen by you. Also, in if someone goes to Parikrama or pilgrim of Dakor, they say if you go to Dakor, three things you must do. What are three things you should buy? You should buy gota, lota, and fota. Gota, lota, and fota. What is gota? Gota means they said that gota is something like a pakoda there, a kind of a thing to eat, fried uh, chickpea flour, some pakodas or vadas, typical made from chickpea and also add some leaf in it. Plus, they add some yogurt also. So that's called gota. So gota is famous to eat there. People go there and they eat this gota as well. Second is lota. So there are many markets there, many shops which sell beautiful lotas pots, either in silver, gold, or aluminium or copper or so many metals. You can go and buy them. So when someone comes from Dakor, he always carries a lota, very nice lota from that place. So gota, lota, and fota. What is fota? Photo means photo. So you don't miss buying a photo of Ranchod Rai and bring it to your house. So gota, lota, and a fota. There are many festivals in this temple. It is mentioned as there are around 35 festivals which are celebrated all through the year. And especially the biggest festival is Annakut, Sri Giriraj Anna Kshetra, where they offer huge offerings to Lord Ranchod Rai. It is mentioned that there is every month there on Purnima, the day of Purnima, lakhs of pilgrims come here to take darshan. Because there is a local saying that if someone comes to take darshan of Ranchod Rai in Purnima, then that darshan is equivalent to visiting all the four dhams, that is Badrinath, Jagannath, Puri, Dwarka, and Rameshwaram. Okay, so now how that name Dakor has come. Let's hear the beautiful story of Dakor. So this story is mentioned in Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, this area initially was called as Hidimbavan. It was a forest. And many great sages would stay in this forest and perform tapasya and devotional service to Lord. So there was one such rishi who was staying here. His name was Danka Rishi. So Danka Rishi was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. And it is mentioned he stayed here and he performed a lot of tapasya, and ultimately Lord Shiva became very pleased. So he asked Danka, "What do you want from me?" Danka Rishi said that I am so happy just to see your darshan. Kindly stay with me here. So Lord said, "Okay, I'll always stay with you in the form of a ling. You worship me." So in this way, Lord Shiva manifested Swayambhu, self-manifested his deity here. And because Danka Rishi was instrumental in getting Lord Shiva here, so this Mahadev, Lord Shiva's name was Dankanath Mahadev, the master of Danka Rishi. So Dankanath Mahadev. And because the Dankanath Mahadev became very famous, so Dankarishi, Dankanath Mahadev, so this area became known as Dankapur, Dankapur, and ultimately it became Dankapur, then Dankor, and it became Dakor. So the current name Dakor has connection with Dakor or Dankapur. Now, how Dakor became famous is another story. So Dakor already had Dankanath Mahadev, but Dakor actually became famous because of another devotee whose name was Bodhana. Now, what is the story of Bodhana? So Bodhana's story goes to his past life. In his past life, Bodhana lived in Gokul, which is actually Mathura Dham, Vrindavan Dham. So even though he was in Gokul, he had no faith on Krishna. His wife was a good devotee of Krishna. And everywhere around his neighbors, they were all devotees of Krishna because they were staying in Gokul, Mathura. So they said that even though he was staying there, he was not a devotee of Krishna. And it is said that his wife intensely prayed that let my husband become devotee of Krishna. So one day Krishna disguised and came and actually did something by which his life got transformed. It was the season of Holi. So everyone was out of the house and playing Holi with colors. And he never participated in this festival. He said, these are all religious festivals of Krishna. I don't believe in Krishna. So Krishna became upset that he's staying in my Gokul and he's not having faith on me. His wife is such a nice devotee. So Krishna came in a disguised form and told this person, his name was Vijayananda. Yeah, his past life name was Vijayananda. Said, please come, very nice festival, and pulled him outside the house. So Vijayananda came and he played with Holi with this new gentleman who came and pulled him outside the house, and he enjoyed so much thoroughly. Then he went back to his house, only to realize that I don't know who this man was who came and pulled me inside. But I was so happy, and I missed this Holi festival for so long time. Next year onwards, I will not miss this festival. I'll attend all the festivals. So they said that yes, it is said that Vijayananda in due course of time realized that that person was none other than Krishna. Krishna appeared in a dream to Vijayananda, and Krishna told Vijayananda that you have made a very big mistake of not worshipping me, even though you're staying in Gokula. So Vijayananda begged forgiveness and he said, Vijayananda told Krishna that please forgive me, but from now onwards, I'll make sure that I will not, uh, I'll make sure that I will worship you so nicely. So then it is mentioned at the time of his leaving his body, Krishna appeared and told Vijayananda that I want you to take another life, one more life, and perform a lot of devotional service to me. You'll be instrumental in bringing me from one place to another place, another location where you'll be famous for bringing the deity from that place. So, in due course of time, I will reveal everything to you, but you'll take another lifetime, and from there you'll come back to Godhead. Come back to Godhead to me. So this Vijayananda, he came in his next life and came to this Dakor and was born as Bodhana. And his very wife, the same wife who was in Gokul, she also came and she was born as a wife again to Bodhana. So it is story goes like this that Bodhana was born in Dakor, but he was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. So he was very fond of going to Dwarka. Now Dakor and Dwarka are very very far away. Dakor comes somewhere near in the upper part of Gujarat, north of Gujarat, and it is mentioned that Dwarka is on the east, on the western coast, west coast. So every 6 months he would travel by foot from Dakor. He would go to Dwarka. That was a regular thing in the life of Bodhana. Every 6 months. And how many days? How many years like that? So he traveled like this almost till the fag end of his life. 72-year-old man, but he never missed going to Dwarka every 6 months. So much was his devotion that he could walk all the way from Dakor to Dwarka. So now, at the age of 72, it was very difficult for him. So then he realized that this is the last trip I'm going to make. After this, I am not going to make any trip. So while in Dakor, he prayed to Dwarkadish, "O Lord Dwarkadish, this is the last time I'm coming to you. So please kindly forgive me because my body is aging. I can't walk anymore. So sorry, next time I cannot come. This time I'm coming for the last time." So they mentioned that Lord Krishna, Dwarkadish, came in the dream of Bodhana and said, "If you're coming, then come in a bullock cart this time. Because when you go back, I will come along with you." Bodhana said, "Why you want to come with me?" "Because I want to stay with you. You are my very good devotee." So Bodhana said, "Okay, no problem." So Bodhana got a bullock cart this time. So when he came with bullock cart, since he was a regular pilgrim coming to Dwarka regularly, some of the pujaris saw that he came with bullock cart. He said, "What is this? Why you got a bullock cart?" He said, "Because Dwarkadish said, oh, that you come with a bullock cart, I'll come with you." So all the pujaris started laughing. Very good fun of him. He said, "Oh, Dwarkadish wants to go with you. Very nice, very nice." So then they went inside the temple. The pujaris went. And Bodhana went to darshan of Dwarkadish. And the night he was sleeping in Dwarka, Dwarkadish came, the deity came, woke him up. "Bodhana, come, let's go. No one is watching us." And Bodhana said, "I'm very tired now." Said, "No, no, you go now because afterwards they will catch you." So then he made Bodhana sit on the bullock cart and Bodhana was driving and Krishna was sitting in the bullock cart. Later, Krishna realized this Bodhana is an old person, tired, he cannot drive the bullock cart fast. He said, "Okay, I'll drive it." So Krishna began to drive. DT began to drive the bullock cart and Bodhana was sitting behind and talking to Krishna and enjoying the beautiful pastimes. So late in the night, they came close to Dakor. Because Krishna was driving, it was very fast. So they came very close to Dakor. Just outside Dakor, they reached. And Krishna said, we'll camp here. We'll rest for some time. I am feeling very tired." So it is mentioned Krishna, he rested under a neem tree. Bitter leaf neem tree is there. Under the neem tree, Krishna rested. And when he was resting, Krishna was holding a branch while resting. So after that, then Krishna got up again, became very fresh, and he said, "Let's go again. Let's go to your village now. It's very, very close from here." So it is said that that very branch which Krishna was holding, that tree is still there. Even now also tree is there. And that tree, that very branch which Krishna was holding, that branch became very sweet branch. Now neem is known for bitter leaves, right? So the whole that neem tree, has all branches which are bitter, but only this branch which Krishna touched is still sweet. It's not bitter. So this beautiful, it is mentioned pastime took place just on the outskirts of Dakor. That place is still there. It is mentioned it is something like that place is called as Bilveshwar Mahadev. There is a small Lord Shiva temple there, and if you go there, you'll find that Nemu tree and also a small temple of depicting the pastime of Krishna and Bodhana coming and resting there. So in this way, then finally Krishna reached reached Dakor, and he was staying with Bodhana. Now in the morning time, when the pujaris in Dwarka got up, they saw the deity is missing. There was a hue and cry all over Dwarka, where is the deity? Where is the deity? And some of the pilgrims said, oh, that Bodhana was saying, the Dwarkadish, I'm going to take him to my village. Oh, we thought we thought he was joking with us. So they went and searched for Bodhana. Bodhana was not there. The bullock cart is not there. He has already left. So they understood there was some problem. So the pujaris, the brahmanas there, he ran to the place where Bodhana stays in Dakur. So when they came here, it is mentioned they saw that the deity of Dwarkadish was in the house of Bodhana. So they suspected a foul play. They said, you stole the deity of Dwarka from that place. Bodhana said, how can I steal? I'm an old man. I cannot even live the deity. So, no, you stole the deities. They could not believe that actually deity himself came. God came to Dakor by his own will. So they mentioned there was a discussion, an argument, and the argument became argument which is the allegations became the allegations became so very it took a kind of violent turn such a way that one of the Brahmins, one of the pujaris, he just hit Bodhana. And when he hit Bodhana, because he was very old, it hit his head and he crashed down and Bodhana left his body. Yes, Bodhana died. What kind of pastime is this? How can Bodhana die? But that was Krishna's arrangement. Bodhana was supposed to come back to God after the story. Yes. So Krishna arranged Bodhana die and go back to God. I forgot to mention one thing is that the deity was actually hidden by Bodhana in the Gomati Sarovar just in front of his house. So deity was inside the Sarovar. So when Bodhana was stuck in the head, blood started flowing out. That Gomati tank water also became reddish. And they were surprised. Bodhana died. Now they realize there's a deity inside. Even today, that very place where Bodhana had hid the deity inside the tank, inside the Sarovar, the pond, that place where the deity was kept, that ground inside the water is still reddish. That area only. Rest of the areas are all brownish because of mud. And to commemorate the pastime, that exact area they have made a temple in the Gomati Sarovar, and there you can go by a small bridge, walk it, go to the exact place where they kept the deity down. So the Brahmanas, the pujaris who had come from Dwarka, they started on a hunger strike out just on the banks of Gomati. They realized now that Lord Dwarkadish has come by his own will here. So they were on hunger strike. Oh Lord, you come here. What will happen to us? Who will be in Dwarka? You are Dwarkadish. What you are doing in Dakor here? You are not Dakorish. You are Dwarkadish. So they are doing tapasya, penance, fasting. So Lord realized that they are also my devotees, and it is all happening by my own will, my own plan. So Lord arrange for a dream with one of the pujaris, and he was told, don't worry, actually it is my plan to come and stay here. So let me stay here. And you go back to Dwarka. And in due course after 6 months, in that particular well, you mentioned about one well there in Dwarka. From that well, again you'll find my own deity, the same deity. From that well, you remove from that well and you worship that deity as Dwarkadish. So in this way, all the Brahmanas they left that place. So it is mentioned that in due course of time, the wife of Vijayanand, or rather Bodhana, she also left her body and she passed away to the spiritual world. There is one story which I also wanted to mention about this beautiful story of this lady, chaste lady, is that when they came to take the deity and Bodhana was kind of talking with them, it is mentioned that Lord arranged through the wife, Bodhana's wife, that let them, if they can't get the deities, let them take gold equivalent of the weight of the deity. So the pujaris agreed for that. So they bought a scale, a weighing scale, and they kept the deity on the weighing scale. And now this lady was supposed to put gold. She did not have any gold. She was a very poor lady. She had only one gold ring, nose ring. She removed the nose ring and uh, kept it on the weighing pan. That nose ring became so heavy that the deity came up and the nose ring went down. So to commemorate that pastime, even today in the temple of Dakor, there is this nose ring preserved, and the weighing pan also is preserved, in which Lord arranged to be weighed. And so Lord was outweighed by the love of his devotees. So in this way, the Lord stayed in Dakor. Meanwhile, the Brahmanas, Pujaris went to Dwarka and they were waiting for 6 months, but they became impatient. And in before 6 months, they went inside the well and bought the deity out. Indeed, there was a deity exactly like Dakor, Dwarkadish deity, and they started worshipping. But because they brought it little early, not waited for 6 months, so the deity was smaller in size compared to the main deity which came to Dakor. So nonetheless, this deity is now Dwarkadish in Dwarka. The deity which you find in Dwarka now was a deity which Krishna himself arranged to the well. And the original Dwarkadish deity established by Vajranab is in Dakor, now known as Ranchod Rai. So these are beautiful pastimes of Lord as Ranchod Rai here. It is mentioned there are few more pastimes also about Lord Krishna coming here. It is mentioned in Mahabharata as well that Krishna and Bhimsen once were traveling, right? And they were traveling from this area. It is mentioned Krishna was traveling from Dwarka along with Bhimsen, and they were going for Parikshit Maharaj thread ceremony. Parikshit Maharaj was just born, so there was thread ceremony arranged for him in Hastinapur. So Bhimsen came to bring Krishna from Dwarka. So they were traveling back, and on the way they came to this area of Dakor, and that time they met Dankarishi, and they stayed in the ashram of Dankarishi. So when Krishna stayed, Dankarishi was very pleased. He prayed to Krishna, please Krishna, see, by my devotion, Lord Shiva is personally staying with me as Dankanath Mahadev. So why don't you also personally stay with me? Krishna smiled and said, your desire will be fulfilled, but not now. In Kali Yuga, after 4,000 years, yes, he said after 4,000 years in Kali Yuga, after I stay in Dwarka for all those days, finally from Dwarka, I will shift to Dakor. And then in this Dakor area, in your own area, I will come and stay. So I'll fulfill your desire not now in Dwapar Yuga, but in Kali Yuga after 4,000 years. 4,200 years or like that. So around that much approximate ages. 4,200 years later, I'll come. So Krishna did fulfill the promise of Dankarishi by coming back as Ranchod Rai, and now he's staying in Dankarishi's ashram area. So Bhimsen and Krishna came here. That time Bhimsen was feeling thirsty. So Krishna showed him the Gomati tank. The Sarovar was very small. So Bhimsen said, this is a very small Sarovar. Let me make it very big so that others who come here, they can also take benefit. So Bhima hit his mace in the ground, and by that effect, the Sarovar, which was very small, became a huge Sarovar. And so that people can take advantage of the Sarovar. Now Bhima's power was so great, his mace hit the ground, and that small Sarovar became as big as 500 acres of water. Such a huge place. So this is what we can see. This Gomati tank is now still prevalent in this Dakor area. So Dakor area, Dankanath Rishi, beautiful story we read. Read the story of Vijayananda then becoming Bodhana, Dwarkadish coming to Dakor, Bodhana going back to Godhead, his wife also going back to Godhead, and her devotion from the nose ring. And Gomati tank, Krishna was hidden, that became reddish downstairs. We also saw that Ranchod Rai's promise. Krishna came to Dankarishi's ashram. I'll come later in Kali Yuga. And he did come and is staying still here as Ranchod Rai. And Bhimsen expanding the Gomati tank. This temple is every day remains open, especially from morning 6 a.m. to afternoon 12 noon, and then in the evening 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. These are the timings of this temple. And it is said that this temple has only Krishna temple there. So where is Lakshmi Devi? Where is goddess of fortune? So they said that just a little away from temple, in midst of a small colony or area of people stay, there is Lakshmi temple there. So Lakshmi is staying a little far away from Krishna, from this temple of Lord Krishna. It is said that here deity is four-armed deity, where he is carrying conch shell, lotus, disc, and mace. And it is said because Lakshmi is staying far away from Lord's place here, so it is said that every Friday they can take a procession of Ranchod Rai from Ranchorai temple to Lakshmi Devi's temple so that Lord can meet his wife. So that is a every Friday procession which happens beautifully even today. So it is mentioned that even though Krishna here is Dwarkadish in the mood of opulence, but devotees here they worship Krishna here in the mood of spontaneity. So therefore, even though he has four arms and four different symbols in his arms of Lord Narayan, but still here devotees they have kept one flute in one of the hands of Lord Ranchod Rai, which depicts that their mood is they worship this form of Krishna as Krishna in Vrindavan. So these are few pastimes of this beautiful place of Dakur, and we hope and pray someday we will get chance to visit Girnar Parvat, take darshan of holy places and holy devotees in Girnar Parvat, and next we'll also get chance to come to Dakur and come to this holy place of Dakur and see Gomati Tank, see beautiful darshan of Ranchod Rai, also see Dantinath Mahadev and all beautiful places there. With this, we end our talk and discussion today. श्री डंकनाथ महादेव की जय, श्री डाकोर धाम की जय, श्री रणछोड़ राय जी भगवान की जय, श्री गोमती मैया की जय, श्री गिरनार रेवताचल पर्वत की जय, दामोदर कुंड की जय, रेवती कुंड की जय, मुचकुंद महाराज की जय, कृष्ण बलराम लीला की जय, नरसिंह मेहता की जय, राम बापा की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, जामुवन गुफा की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.